Hi everybody, I'm Federico Di Giacomo from the Italian National Institute for Astrophysics, and this talk is on behalf of Claudia Mignone, Rachele Tognolo, and Stefania Parano, who are working with me in order to analyze and evaluate some educational workshop. So, 2 years ago, more or less, we realized a virtual exhibition entitled Look Up. Look Up is a virtual exhibition accessible from any device, PC, smartphone, tablet, Oculus, whose the primary goal are to enhance, describe and give maximum diffusion of the entire collection of stellar atlas, chromatography and selenography preserved in the observatory of INAF. The collection of the Celestial Atlas play an important role in the history of modern culture and represent a real milestone in the scientific revolution. Using the content covered with the exhibition, we have realized 6 educational workshops. 2 workshops are regarding the stars and the constellation, 2 are dedicated to the moon and the lunar phases, and finally 2 are developed to the planet and especially about describe Mars. The main goal of these activities is to raise awareness of scientific development, even in area of great social fragility and early school living. Indeed, these activities have been developed in partnership with Save the Children Italia and were carried out in its light point. The light point are places developed to guarantee a future for children living in a most disadvantaged area of cities through free education and support to the educational community. This activity began in November 2023 and involved 7 light points spread across the entire national territory: Turin, Milan, Venice, Rome, Naples, and Palermo and Catania. And more than 300 children with an age between 6 and 15 years old took part in the various activities. So, to evaluate both the degree of satisfaction and the learning of the various workshops proposed, all participants were given a simple test, a simple survey before and after the activity, with a few questions regarding the topic covered. And in this presentation, we discuss the evaluation of the workshop conducted with the youngest children group, corresponding to the age about 6 and 10 years old. To assess both the effectiveness of the activities and the satisfaction level of the children, a brief survey was administered to all participants before and after the activities, with a series of questions related to the topic covered in the workshop. The analysis of the collected data helped understanding the participant knowledge level and allow for improvements to be made to the activities, enhancing their engagement and efficiency. Participation in the survey was fully anonymous and optional. Children could choose to answer a few questions, all of them or none, as they prefer. Overall, all the children found the activities interesting and fun. But we found a very big problem in our survey, because the initial evaluation questionnaires were heavily text-based, with multiple choice answers. In some areas, children could read and answer questions easily, but in other areas, children literacy was very low, making this evaluation unfitting to the context. During the first workshop, the facilitators realized that they needed to read the question and the multiple choice answer to the children. breaking them down to their basic concept, but basically influencing the answer with a high risk to introduce bias and false positive. To bypass this bias, we ask them to draw the answer to some question relevant to the workshop content. The graphic form is very powerful and is widely used in evaluation with a very young children and in case of language barriers. In this case, we demonstrate that graphical evaluation allows us to bypass communicational issues due to low literacy as well as cultural barriers in context of social marginalization. A total of 70 pre and 45 post-activity questionnaires were collected at the end of the various workshops. Pre and post questionnaires had similar questions forced in a different way to make the activity less repetitive. All pre questionnaires include the questions "What does an astronomer do?" and all post questionnaires include the question "Did you have fun?" Other questions varied depending on the content of the workshop: stars, moon, planets. Besides, the sample of children who responded to the pre-activity questionnaire doesn't coincide with the post-activity one. Therefore, a full pre-post analysis cannot be performed. So, we conduct a case study analysis comparing the response to identify overall trends. One of the workshops, Stars in Perspective, concern the distance of the star and the constellation. In this workshop, in particular, the children realize a 3D model of a constellation, in particular of Cassiopeia constellation, using some different pieces of wood with the dimension of the real distance of the star from us. Thanks to this workshop, we can explain that, contrary to the common perception, the constellations are not made of stars close to each other, but the stars that are located at a different distance from the Earth. An interesting result from the evaluation of this activity is the comparison between the representation of stars drawn before and after the workshop. In the pre and post questionnaires of the workshop, we ask to the children to draw a star. All pre-activity drawings feature the classical 5-point stars aligned with the common misconception. So in one drawing, the classical 5-point star persisted. In the other drawing, a child reproduce what he or she perceived during the experience. The stars are sphere-shaped objects mounted on a stick. This change in representation is dense in a meaning and conveys additional information about the children's perception that cannot be accessible using a multiple choice or open-ended questions. Another interesting workshop is the moon phases in a box. So this workshop concerns the origin of the moon phases. So in this case, the children realize a box with some different windows on the different part of this box. They put a ball inside the box and then they light up this ball with a lamp. Then they observe how change the shape of the shadow of this ball, watching this ball, this moon, from the different window on the box. Only the pre-activity questionnaires include a drawing question, which contribute to valuable insight regarding the children's representation of the moon. In fact, children reported a multitude of representations that can be classified in two main categories. The main one is a single circle with a colored dot that represent craters and or maria, while the second and the piece a full circle without craters, together with a crescent moon. There is also a third one, which is a single crescent moon. The three types of drawing convey different conceptions about the moon. The first one, the sphere with a different crater, reveals the idea of the moon as a single sphere-shaped object with irregularities on its surface that are clearly visible. The second one unveils an idea of the moon strictly correlated with its phases, which make it appear in different shapes. The fact that some children choose to depict all of them in some drawing as opposite to the third representation may raise some doubts about their knowledge of the moon as a single object. Indeed, this kind of drawing can be interpreted as either distinct versions of the same object or different kinds of moon. This reflection made us decide to show more in detail during the activity that the moon is a single sphere-shaped object that can change its appearance due to its illumination. Finally, the long live resolution workshop dedicated to the image of the solar system, the planet dedicated to the image of the planet of the solar system, include a graphical question asking the children to draw a telescope or binoculars. Only proactivity questions were collected, unfortunately, and this question include 7 drawings. All drawings tend to show a single tube-like instrument, and in 3 cases with a shape that represents more articulated, as if to indicate the presence of different elements, for example, eyepiece, lens, and so on. Direct experience carried out during astronomy hands-on workshop in communities at the outskirts of big Italian cities, marked by social marginalization, high rate of school dropout, low literacy, and the presence of non-native Italian speakers, have shown the power of drawing as a non-verbal form of evaluation. Through drawing, everyone can express their experience, emotion, and level of learning, offering a valid tool to understand the impact of the activities. This approach allows for an inclusive and intuitive evaluation capable of involving everyone regardless of their linguistic competence.